Welcome back to Think Design Work Smart. I'm Alex Bolboaca and I'm coming at you from the Mozaic Works studios. And my initial plan for today was to make a serious video about some conversation around technical debt, a topic that is still very interesting. However, I realized that, look, I'm recording this in July, but it will be published in the beginning of August. So how about we do something more fun instead? And so what I have for you today is a good old reaction to some programmer memes. These come from an article from Board Panda, and I have a few more links. We'll see how far we'll go. I'll put the links in the description if you want to have some fun for yourself. And it starts with number 1 some years later, year 0. Let me write this code. Is one line with complex abstractions. I'm so clever. Year X. Let me write this code such that future me can easily understand it. I have never understood the need of people to write, particularly in my case, it was C++. And in C++, you could write a lot of things in one line. And I never understood that. It used to be very difficult to understand that type of code, but it was very clever. Today, the most important part of code for me is that it's boring. When you read it, it shouldn't surprise you at all. It just should explain what it does. And that's fun. That's the best thing. Right. This is not so interesting. The next one based on personal experience, and this is with Will Smith. Just because I'm a programmer doesn't mean I can fix your printer. I mean, I can fix it, but not because I'm a programmer. It used to happen that programmers were asked to fix all kinds of things. And of course, in my case, I've spent a fair amount of time digging in and toying with operating systems. When I first installed Linux Slackware, which was one of the distributions at that point in time when I first got into Linux in university, there was a small variable that you introduced in the beginning, which was the number of blocks in a sector on your hard drive, and they introduced 1024 instead of 1023. And that ended up being very funny because after a few months of usage, the hard drive, the operating system was trying to write on the hard drive beyond the physical end. And so it would think that the logical volume was extending beyond the physical volume. And yeah, that was fun because the only solution was to reformat everything and reinstall. And I've gone through my fair bit of trying out things, breaking things and then fixing them, which gave me now enough confidence to basically fix systems. But I also learned that it's a very, very it takes a very long time to fix things and debug things like that. So yeah, don't try to fix the printer. I love this one, number 4, namespacing. It's something from Star Trek. I love Star Trek The Next Generation, but I always thought when I rewatched it recently, I was looking at the interactions with the computer and I kept thinking about things that could go wrong. I haven't thought of this one, but it's actually quite okay. So they have a shuttle that goes, or a probe, going near a star, and the instruction for the computer is, computer, notify me if external temperature gets too hot. And the computer says, okay, please define hot. let's say 1.9 million kelvins. And the next thing later is Captain Picard saying tea Earl Grey hot and basically blowing up the ship because hot is defined as 1.9 million kelvins. As you can see, everything has to be contextual, and some of the things that are happening in Star Trek are not quite, don't match what, I mean, they can be very error prone. And I like the comment, do not use global variables, like hot, 1.9 million kelvins. Okay, let's keep this one. Why but why? Number 6. The 8-year-old is learning Python, and after dealing with a syntax bug, she asks, if the computer knows I'm missing a semicolon here, why won't it edit itself? I don't know. I really don't know. And honestly, this is my question as well. We say we can make things so smart and so on, but we still haven't made compilers who start to understand more and do more of our work. It's a pet peeve of mine. I think we need smarter compilers. Now, of course, there's a good remark here. The computer doesn't know that you are missing a semicolon. It sees what it looks like 2 instructions in a row and assume you meant for them to be 2 separate instructions. But it could be something else, and the computer tells you about the problem, so you make it clear what you want instead of fixing it without telling you, and end up with a code that doesn't do what you want. That's fair, all right? But honestly, I think compilers could be smarter. Number 7, wait, what is happening here? Me on Friday, I'll stop here and pick up where I left on Monday. Me on Monday, basically staring at the computer, what the hell is going on? I have a nice trick for this. Just write down in your code or in your notes what are the next steps. Another tip here, particularly if you are using test-driven development, or always end with a test that fails and that is on your computer. So basically, don't push it to the common branches. I like the comment, I don't know whether to laugh or cry, I'll go with cry. I've been in this situation, okay? I know how it is. Maybe after 2 days, not that much, but after a few weeks, after a holiday, yeah, definitely. I like this on number 8. Artists talking to each other. No, stop saying your art is terrible, it's so beautiful, I wish I was as good as you. You're lying, my work is bad. Programmers talking to each other. This is the worst code I've ever seen. Haha, I know, right? we kind of put ourselves down a lot for this type of things, and I believe it's much better if you could detach yourself from your code and just look at it as an outcome, as something that you are modeling, like a sculpture, basically, that you are continuously modeling until it goes kind of in the shape you want. I also like this comment. And the worst thing is the code you proudly thought were short and compact and workable could be even shorter and more compact. Yeah, if you ever revisit some of your old code, you'll find better ways, always. Number 9, steal what is stolen. Designers, look, we have similar ideas. No, you stole my idea. Programmers, man, I stole your code. It's not my code. Presumably, they took it from Stack Overflow or something like that. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know why it is not working. I love these kinds of tweets because it helps put in perspective. No matter how much experience you have, you will make mistakes, and you will make silly mistakes, depending on how much energy you have at a certain point in time. And this is a very good example. Paul Fenwick. I'm a software engineer with decades of experience. My code is used by hundreds of thousands, and I've taught software engineering in over a dozen countries. I just had to ask a colleague for help in finding out why my code was not working. The reason was I hadn't hit compile. Man, I've had it so often, particularly back in the days when. So nowadays it's more common for IDEs to continuously build your code because most of the compilers have implemented incremental compilation. If you were to recompile everything from scratch, it typically takes a very long time. Even today, one of the things that I've noticed when going back to C++ is that compilation times still remain very high. It's still a long compilation time. But anyway, so back in the days when I first started programming, you had to actually hit build and run the program, and it didn't do it for you automatically. Nowadays, in most cases, you can automate and have incremental build that is done every so often, and have analyzers that run and tell you things that are wrong or that might be wrong. And also, here's another tip: you could actually have your unit tests continuously running when any of your file is changing, particularly if you actually have very fast micro tests. Those tests that one of them, if it runs in 2-3 milliseconds, you can run thousands of them in a few seconds. So in that case, it's quite easy. But yeah, absolutely. I've done this multiple times. When I made the change, I would start the executable without compiling it. And this meant that it was the previous one. And it's quite annoying. It was a tough day, right? Yeah, it's a good habit to make sure that things are, that you are checking the current version of your code. Also, this one is a little bit sad for me. Alan Turing cracks Enigma code and saves millions of lives. UK government, whatever, dude, you kiss the guy. Yeah, this is one of the worst things that happened for software, for the history of software. Alan Turing would likely, I like this comment, Alan Turing would likely have contributed much more to humanity if humanity didn't decide to treat him insanely inhumanly. Absolutely. Now, I don't know this one. Let's see. Has this ever happened to you? What is going on with my website? It looks all wrong. The client says that. It was working just fine yesterday. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. We download the page, check out the code. It really looks as if someone's gone in and deleted some of the code and makes the site work. Client, yeah, that was me. I was getting rid of some of your unnecessary code. Why isn't the site working? Oh boy. No, I've never had this before. Don't let your client delete code. Okay. Number 13, pain. Okay, there are a bunch of phones. Let's go digital, web developers. All right, I'm not getting this one. Project manager screaming these guys. Coworker, so how did you solve the bug? Me, ostrich algorithm. In computer science, the ostrich algorithm is a strategy of ignoring potential problems on the basis that they may be exceedingly rare. Yeah, well, honestly, this is one of the ways in which you have to think about risks. And if you do a risk assessment or any kind of risk assessment for your product, um, and in particular, sometimes the threat modeling, which is a security risk assessment. Even in that case, you might say for certain threats, okay, we know about this, but its probability to happen is very low, and the cost, if it happens, would be very low. In that case, we need to fix it. We can make everything perfect. That's one of the secrets of programming. No application is perfect. Right. I'm turning 14 years old. This is the cake that my dad make. See Jasper, 13 years, CD dot dot, CD 14 years, party dot exe. All right, this is a fun one. Didn't know this one. What's up? What do you do all day? Programming. Well done. Very responsible during the pandemic. Pandemic. They were actually working. Replace programming with nothing and you get me. That's a comment. Right. So, yeah. Programming is one of those activities that can take you into a state of flow and you have no idea what's going around you and how fast time has passed. It's 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 a psychological state that's been documented in actually in the book Flow by Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi, and yeah, it's definitely something that can happen. He also has his headsets on, so yeah. Boom, when you are gonna merge two branches after a long time and you have a box with Mentos on one side and Coca-Cola on the other side, which will basically blow up. Ah, don't do that. Don't let branches live for a very long time. We talked about this again and again and again. It just makes your job incredibly difficult, close to impossible to do any kind of merging afterwards. If you diverge, not it doesn't help. Okay, so let's look at another one. Send this. I like this one, not on the same page. How people react differently to a single word. Bug, the tester, it's a baby that's smiling, developer, a baby that's crying, and manager, an angry baby. Honestly, I have a problem with the word bug because it just sounds as if it's something that comes from outside your system and is corrupting your system. When in reality, every bug is actually a mistake that somebody did. A requirement that wasn't properly understood, something that the developer failed to see, that the tester failed to test, and so on. So it's actually, we should be talking more about mistakes. This is just one another example of words that we use that are outside our to seem like we don't have any agency, any responsibility in certain things. And that's not true. We do. I like this one. Developers during hackathon. We build an entire application in just 3 days. Developers after hackathon. Adding that icon is going to take 3 weeks. Well, this is one of the weird things about code, right? In the beginning, it's very fast to work with code. After a while, it starts to get rigid, and adding more things is not as easy as in the beginning. Now, honestly, most of the applications built during hackathons are not that great. if you are to actually test them properly, try to find security issues and so on, you'll find a lot of things. So this is not necessarily the best example, but there's definitely something to say about the need to reduce this rigidity in time. And this can only be done by actually investing time into it. So, you see, we're kind of talking about technical debt now. Okay. Not sure if I'm a good programmer or good at Googling. Yeah, of course. Doctors, Googling stuff online does not make you a doctor. Programmers, and this kind of I think this is a monkey, right? Is this a monkey? I've seen this meme again and again. Well, and this is a very good point. Actually, programming is not about knowing things. It's more about the ability to solve things. At least that's my perspective, is the ability to solve problems and to translate the solution into very precise terms. These are the two main things. And nobody remembers the syntax. Nobody remembers everything that they need to do. Googling is part of the job. Absolutely. Yeah, and actually I like this one, and I think I'll stop with this one. Not a bad idea, actually, a listening Congress. Okay, hear me out. We have the three branches of government, the legislative, judiciary, and the executive branch, right? Well, I propose we bring in a fourth, QA. Anytime a law is proposed or passed, it gets passed to the QA branch, where we have round up just a bunch of lawyer monkeys with ADHD. Give them a stick and poke around to break it by finding loopholes, then they can pass it back to be reworked or amended. Let's bring agile development to the government. Well, I have often thought that laws would need a kind of compiler or at least a checker, because there's so many things that don't work together or that are not clear or even in the same law. And if you take the whole body of laws, it gets even worse. So yeah, maybe this is an idea. QA. Honestly, I'd love some automated tests instead, but that's very hard to do for laws, much harder than programmers imagine. All right. So this has been it. Just a fun edition of our videos. What do you think? Any memes that you enjoy? Any memes that you love? Any jokes that you love about programming? Let us know in the comments. Thank you kindly for the view, and until next time, remember to think, design, and work smart.